What's up, guys? Welcome into the Command Post, another episode. We're glad to be with you. It's Trev, it's Brian. We're here to talk all things Commanders football and maybe even some guys who aren't currently on the Commanders right now. We'll get
Okay.
to that. But Trev, how are you doing, my brother?
Good, man. Summer is in full force. It's about 94, 95 degrees here in Southwest Virginia where I'm at. Work is busy. I got a big vacation coming up 3 weeks away.
Sure.
OTAs are happening, so it's just a busy summer. How about
Yeah, I
you?
love the summer, but man, I miss football weather. I run hot, so I'm just sweating all the time. So I hear you there. Hey, the Commanders play a real football game in less than 100 days. I think it's like 90 something days. So it's getting close. I know we say that every time, but we're going to blink and summer will be gone and football will be here. But they had another OTA session. It sounds like everything's going pretty well for the Commanders. So we'll hit on all of that. But we got to start with the elephant in the room. I want to start here when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk, obviously, is who we're talking about. How much of a distraction do you think this is for the 49ers and for the Commanders? I have some thoughts on that. I didn't know what you thought about that because it's a lot of talk about a guy that is not actually on a football field when there are teams all across the league who are on the football field. In a way, it feels really silly, but what are your thoughts on this as a whole?
Um, it's quite entertaining. This
Yeah.
is NFL soap opera happening right in front of our eyes. Do I think it's a distraction for us here at the Commanders? No, because we're still showing up every day to go to work. Head honchos are getting asked about it in post practice press conferences, and they're avoiding it like the Black Plague. Come with some with a little smirk on it because it's NFL. Not every secret is kept. People
Right.
know things, but I don't think it's a distraction. For the 49ers, yeah, it is. For one, they shut down their mandatory minicamp for perfect attendance, which is BS because Brandon Aiyuk, the guy we're talking about, is currently on their roster, no matter what's going on. So that's not perfect attendance. Second, it's only a soap opera because Ayuk has made it about us as well as his personal stuff with the 49ers. And when I say made about us, he put out that viral Instagram picture. If you guys haven't seen it, it's all over Twitter. He's posing in the mirror, shirt off, looks to be in football shape, which we questioned about his previous post.
Right.
And he's the Washington Commanders hat. Okay. Then he posts another one, and he's holding a Washington Commanders practice football. How do you get that unless, I don't know how that works. So that's why he's involved us, and we're involved in it because he's put out there that he wants to be a part of this team. No other team. So I think it's more a distraction for the 49ers because he's still currently on their roster, and they have some things to figure out if they don't want him in the building anymore. And for us, it's just like we're chilling, we're going to work every day until something happens and we're involved with something said it happens. We're just going to go to work every day. So
Yeah,
that's
I don't wanna spend too much time on it because
yeah,
I wanna focus on the guys on the field, but, you're right, he brought the Commanders into it. I think that's the part I don't love is that it's obvious. I mean, we've known since Jaden entered the league. I think it would have been the same had he gone to the Carolina Panthers, had he gone to the New York Jets. I assume if Brandon Aiyuk was gonna get upset, he was gonna wanna play with his guy who he played with in college. I totally get that. I just hate that he has, like, the Commanders hat on. I feel like it puts a unnecessary, stress on the team, but you're right. I think they're saying the right thing. What are you gonna say?
to even take it further than that, he involved us on the Pivot podcast when he said,
Right.
"There's a quarterback right there," and Jaden Daniels was
Right.
present. So that's actually when he started involving us. But go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So I don't love that because I don't want it to come back and like the Commanders get dinged for this when they are doing everything right. They're waiting. They're not saying, hey, we want this guy on our team because he's not on their team. So I agree
No,
with you. They've said all the right things. I just hope that he doesn't continue to post stuff with Commander stuff. I feel like that's just getting too dicey for me. I just don't want any like tampering issues and all that. That's the thing I'm most worried about.
because how do you get a football from practice?
Yeah, I mean, I heard JP Finley's podcast too. I'm a big fan of him and Mitch, and he said that's not that big a deal, but I do it's kinda interesting. You know what I mean? Like, how are those just floating around out there? Because 'Cause I'd like to be
Did
honest.
James come over to
Yeah,
his house and hang out and just leave a ball there by
yeah.
accident? I don't know, man. But
I don't know.
It's a soap
it
opera.
is just it's just like yeah, you're right, it is a soap opera. It's the first time we've probably seen a guy act like this openly while on one team, wanting to be on another team. Uh,
Yes.
I mean, maybe Antonio Brown forced his way out of the Raiders way back when. That's maybe, like, the closest thing I can think of, but, like, yeah, this is definitely uncharted territory, but I agree that the Commanders I don't think it's distracting them. I just hope it doesn't continue to be a distraction. I hope that they can focus on what's on the field because, like
Yeah.
we said at the top, it sounds all positive, and I don't want this to be an unnecessary distraction or just even like uh, a squeaky wheel, and I don't think it is right now, but I just don't want it to continue on into the summer, as they take a break. There's
Yeah.
nothing to talk about until training camp. They're just gonna hear a lot of Brandon Aiyuk stuff, but you're right, they said all the right things, and maybe in a way, him being this distraction on his own and it kinda showing poorly on the 49ers, it has kind of allowed the Commanders to just go under the radar. I feel like there are more questions about Brandon Aiyuk than there are things on the field. In a way, that could be good because they can just continue to work, continue to get this new offense, this new defense in place, and uh, let everybody else talk about all the nonsense off the field.
Exactly, and the closest thing to us being, have said that we want him is Ian Rappaport reported on his insider show on ESPN and NFL Network that his sources said that we are interested in signing him. We have no interest in trading for him. So that's the only inkling we have coming
Yeah.
out of a building that we are any interest. Other than that, we're just going to work every day and focusing on who we have here in the building.
Let me ask a two-part question. Let me ask the first part.
All right.
He's available. He is
Yep.
finally free of the 49ers. Do you want him on the Commanders?
Yep.
Me too. Okay. So at that point, yeah. So we're not there yet, obviously. How
Right,
long
right.
does this drag on is the next question, and how long would be too long for it not to make sense?
Too long for it to not make sense. Wow, I think it would
Is
make
there a
sense.
point? Is there a point that
Yeah,
it would not
if this
make sense?
drags out deep into, like, week 5. But, okay, if it drags out by the time we get to our London game, it's too late.
Mhm.
I'm over it. Like, if he joined, like, it's whatever.
Quarter of the season, yeah,
If it's gonna happen, I would love for it to happen, right around pre training camp slash preseason.
yeah.
I would like to see him on the field for preseason, but that's neither here or there. But like you said, too long. If it's dragged out to the start of the season, it's too long.
Yeah, I think that it just doesn't make sense if they get to the regular season, right? How can you sign a guy and have him be a contributor at that point? I mean, we saw them bring Noah Brown in, and he even had to sit I guess he sat the first week. He played the second week of that 2024 season,
Yeah,
but in it's hard to compare those guys, but you know what I mean? Like, you can't just bring a guy in out of nowhere and expect him to contribute, and I'm with you. A quarter
KJ
of the
Osborne.
season, arguably the hardest part of your season is gone, and you're down a weapon. I'm with you. So
Yeah,
I hope it happens next week. We're talking on June 11th. It's mid-June. I want this to get wrapped up and happen if it's going to happen. But yeah, I'm with you. At training camp, I start to get like, okay, is this going to happen? And for what we
right,
understand, or at least I understand from reading and hearing things, he has to show up to the 49ers. I don't
right.
know why he wouldn't when training camp rolls around, but there are a lot of ifs, ands, and buts to where it's almost like you have to put a pin in it, but it's hard when it's that there are this many smoke signals. I think we've said that before on many podcasts. There's just so many things pointing to it happening, but until it happens, I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I guess we're just supposed to sit here and just keep giving our opinions until it happens because there's nothing else for us to do until he does something.
Right, right. So let's say it does roll on. It's their 49ers aren't playing ball. They're kind of locking him on the roster or the do not report, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Let's say this wide receiver room rolls along. How do you feel about that? I know we talked about it last week, but you're talking De'Ami Brown, Van Jefferson, Luke McCaffrey, Antonio Williams, Traylon Burks are the main characters to be that wide receiver too. Obviously, Terry McLaurin.
Mhm.
How are you feeling with one of those guys being your wide receiver too?
Since I'm coming around more and more to being okay with that because I gotta keep remembering this is a brand new offense. Yeah, David Blau was there last couple of years. Yeah, JD5 was there and some other guys, Terry, but this is a brand new scheme, brand new style. And maybe they love the wide receiver room because it fits what they want to do. We might not be intimidating on paper, we might not be intimidating on the field, but like just from standing on a physical standpoint. But if we get out there and we're really fast, I know that we have really good hands on the team for the most part. So I'm starting to lean more and more into like I'm cool with this wide receiver room. And to be honest, I was on Twitter talking to somebody else. I don't even know how many we would pick. And if we did pick 6 or 7, who's it gonna be? Because I feel like everybody up until Van Jefferson has a chance to make the roster. So I'm leaning to more towards more. I'm cool with it because it's tailored to Blau's offense, and we don't even know what that looks like yet. So
Yeah. It's a great point, and I guess part of me, I agree with you, is that I think they could make this work with this wide receiver core kinda committee. Oh, we've always had the running back by committee. This could be wide receiver by committee. It's what they did a couple of years ago. But the thing that makes me kinda pump the brakes on that is that was like you said, a totally different offense. Did Cliff Kingsbury offense kinda lend itself more to having that alpha wide receiver 1 in Terry and then kinda having guys roll in?
yeah,
Can David Blau do that same thing? I hope so. I think that he can, if based on everything you hear. I don't think he would have the job if they don't think that he can do it. But again, kinda going under the radar, which I like, is we're talking about, again, Ayuk, Stephon Diggs has come up. They haven't done any of that right now. Maybe
right.
that does tell you everything that you need to know. Maybe Ayuk is kinda like the cherry on the top that they're like, "Yeah, that'd be great if we got him," but maybe they really are high on Antonio Williams. We forget that he was
Yeah.
I call that a high draft pick, right? First 3 rounds to me is a high draft pick. I feel
Yes.
like if you're picked in the 3rd round, you're probably gonna or should be able to contribute right
Yeah.
away, if not
Mhm.
very soon. He's
Mhm.
a high draft pick, man, and then we know what Diami did down the stretch, in the playoffs. I know Jacksonville didn't turn out, but I don't blame him for chasing a little bit of money, but maybe the being in Washington is what gets him going. So, yeah, I kinda like for I would love for them to add as many weapons as possible. We talked
Yep.
about that last week,
Mhm.
but I think that this allows some of these guys to have a chip on their shoulder and to be hungry because I'm sure they hear it too. That,
Of
like
course.
you said, some of these guys are being asked openly about a guy on another team, and they're like, "Hey, what about me? I'm actually out there catching passes from these guys." And so I hope it is a motivation, even not a negative, but I hope they use it as a older and they come balling out in training camp. They do it in preseason. They start 2-0 against the division. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you, in a perfect world, you wouldn't need Brandon Aiyuk.
Right.
I hope the cherry on top, not something that they're missing.
No, yeah, the cherry on top thing is a great way to put that, and not something they're missing because we aren't really missing. I mean, we're missing a wide receiver too, a true one, and I think
Right.
we're gonna find out who that is when camp comes around with all the battles and stuff. But if we did have add a guy like Ayuk, the cherry on top would be we have a definitive 1 and 2, and then the rest we just have whatever, and it's a luxury to have. Kinda like the offensive line, I guess. Our offensive line is great because we're so versatile and everybody can play everybody's position. That's a luxury to have. The running back room is kind of the same way. That question of who's going to be the starting running back on regular season week 1 is still up in the air, and that'll be determined in camp. So I think if you do get Ayuk and you do bring him in, you need to bring him in before camp. So you then, the receivers that are already been here can be extra motivated. Unfortunately, injuries happen. Unfortunately, some people don't catch on as quickly, so to Ayuk would be the cherry on top as insurance, um, continuity with the quarterback already, this and that, great. But if that didn't happen, we have a nice continuity going on right now. It's just my concern is depth
Yeah.
at- in that room.
I'm looking. I just was thinking this, like, how many teams actually have an alpha wide receiver too? I mean, Puka and Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins,
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, but, like, even Pickens and Lamb, they didn't go to the playoffs last year. The Bengals didn't go to the playoffs last year. We know the Rams, they're a juggernaut, but even when you look at yards, I mean, I'm trying to pull it up right now, but, like, Puka led the league in receiving, but was Devontae Adams even top 10? I'm not seeing him here, not top 20,
No,
in terms of
the thing
yards. He had
is,
a lot of touchdowns,
yeah,
but
it's
But they
Devontae
spread it around. Yeah, yeah, it's Devontae. Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, I'm kinda proving, my point there. The fact that maybe the answer is in spreading it around. Chigakonkwo has a big game out of nowhere. Maybe it is De'Ami Brown the next week. So I
see,
understand where people might be concerned that we don't have multiple guys that can win at the wide receiver position, but at the end of the day, like some of the best teams, I mean, New England had their leading receiver was Stephon Diggs,
there you go.
in the Super Bowl. I mean, Seattle obviously had Jackson Smith and Jigba, and they definitely had guys contribute, but they're not having like 2,000-3,000 yard receivers. I mean, that those days are gone when you had like the Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne
Yeah,
type.
yeah, and Chris Carter and Randy Moss. So it's
Right,
like
right.
I think my version of wide receiver 2 today would be besides Terry, who else are they going to game plan for in the wide receiver room? And I think with all the teams you mentioned, no matter production, you have to just because of name and previous production alone. Like you said, Devontae Adams might not have had a lot of yards, but he had a lot of touchdowns, and it's Devontae
Sure.
Adams. You got a game plan for him. Seattle, Cooper Cup. People might say he's old. He just won a Super Bowl. He was a legend in the Rams. And then JSN. That's 1 and 2. They got a game plan for both. Us so far, it's just Terry, and then everybody else is like, okay, we don't have to really worry about else because they're just it's
It
De'Ami
is what
Brown,
it is.
it's
Right.
Luke McCaffrey, it's Jalen Lane. You know what I mean? So it's like bringing in that cherry on top would make defense have to game
Yeah.
plan for Terry
Yeah.
and BA, and then everyone else, Antonio, Luke, Jalen, who else you keep, can do whatever they want to do. And
Yeah.
that's I think the Chig targets can come in more, and the De'Ami might have a better game, this and that. So more so bring in the cherry on top, not for give me 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns. Give me a cherry on top to make this offense even more confusing and strategic in order for other teams to try to plan against. So
Yeah, no, I hear you. It and going I don't wanna go back to last year, I don't wanna think about it at all, but the fact that you brought in like, I feel like Deebo Samuel and Terry would have really been worked really
yes,
well last year,
it would.
and maybe Deebo is not the answer for what David Blau wants to do because, like we said, we don't exactly know what that looks like, but I think that was the idea last year, you know what I mean? And the fact that Deebo Samuel in a down year still had 70 catches and 700 yards, like, you'll take
That's
that from your wide receiver too. I mean, if Terry had played a full season, we know what he does week in
yeah,
and week out. So I'm with you. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want my own version of Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Jamar
yeah,
Chase, T. Higgins. They just don't
yeah,
grow on trees. But I agree with you. He would certainly help. But for me, it's like, are we going to spend the next month kind of talking about him over and over? That's where I'll get sick of it. And if
yeah,
it's not going to happen, I don't want this to kind of stall any plans that they have. And I don't think it is. Like, I think this is a fan thing. This is fan generated and
mhm,
media because you're talking about a guy that's posting on Instagram, but
right.
there's nothing Washington until he's available. We're not trading for him because
No,
the contract gets crazy, and I don't think anybody wants to trade for him. So you
no,
wait it out, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it does, then you've got a whole nother weapon, and that's
yep,
fun to think about. So I feel like I'm riding the fence, but I mean, it is what it is until he's available. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, I'm riding the fence too. Yeah, I'd love to have him. If we don't, let's ride. Either way, you
So
know?
yeah, absolutely. So outside of Brandon Aiyuk, which nobody can do anything about until it's resolved, it sounds like things are going really well at OTAs, and I love to hear that. I think that's what you want to hear. Uh,
Mhm.
I could kind of see where someone might be like, oh, why is it going so well? Are they not, is the offense, not challenging the defense? Is the defense not getting takeaways against the offense? I think
Mhm.
we still have to remember that they're still in off-season mode. You know what I mean? Like they're still kind of doing walkthroughs. They're still in shorts. They're not popping yet. The
No,
pads, not even to pop your own team. But
no.
I think when it comes to June and you're not into the season, you're not even into training camp, this is what you want to hear. You want to hear that it's going well and things are moving well, guys are moving, going where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to do. It's kind of almost like what is there to talk about? And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing too. Now we don't want to get caught up because all 32 teams are going to say the same thing right now this time of year.
Mhm.
Oh, it's great. People look great. They look in shape. Da, 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 which is what you want to hear. But for us, in terms for solely us, we're getting new schemes on both sides of the ball. So for
Mhm.
us to hear that everything is kind of gelling the way we want it to, guys are showing up hungry and treating it like it's a real practice instead of just out there running drills. That's what you want to hear.
No
You
doubt.
don't want to necessarily hear offense is struggling again, and it really seems like JD5 is having trouble with the play action, or there's this the defense is struggling with the play action itself. So you're not hearing that, and I think if it was happening, you would hear it. They're not allowed to
Mhm.
give details, but you would hear that. But yeah, it's great to hear
Yeah.
everything's positive, new systems. You're not going to really get what you want to get out of practice because, like you said, there's no pads. It's shorts and jerseys and helmets. We're wearing GoPros all over
I
the
like
field
that.
now, not
Yeah.
just quarterback, but I saw Jeremy Reeves had one on. So it's just great, positive vibes. The vibes are
Yeah.
high.
Yeah, I love to hear it, and I wanted it to keep it that way, and I want it to roll into the season, but I'm with you. I think we can start to put pieces together and kinda see where this team is. Yes,
Mhm.
when training camp starts, but with those joint practices with the Dolphins and the Ravens, I think that's where you start to see where things are coming together because there have been years past where they have done these joint practices, and you could tell they were very far behind the other teams. And so I think that'll be exciting to see how they go up against, some other teams into preseason, that sort of thing, but yeah, no news is good news right now, and like you said, that's what every team is sounding like, but
Mhm.
I'll take no news and good news over, we're us constantly hearing, Mikey Sanders still getting burnt deep
Right.
by receivers, getting burnt, a linebacker not in the right spot, a false
Yeah.
start by, an offensive lineman. So, yeah, in a way, it's like, yeah, what is there to talk about? We even talked about that right before. They're like, this might be a short episode, but that's a
Yeah.
good thing, I think, right now.
I think so too. I just thought of another topic while you were saying that, just to touch on maybe for like 2, 3 minutes. We can touch on it when it gets closer. But preseason, question for you.
Mhm.
Brand new schemes on both sides, brand new faces on both sides. Do you want to see a lot of us like newer pieces playing a lot of preseason, even though they're seasoned vets or they've played on other teams before, or do you want to just keep it how it's been? Like, do you want to see Chig out there? Do you want to see Charles Omenihu out? Do you want to see Nick Cross? Do you want to see, you know what I mean? Or
I
I know
think
but
my perfect I don't put any stock in the results of preseason. I mean, they've won preseason games before and then been terrible, and they lost preseason games and had pretty good years. I think every team would say that. I think for me, I think I would wanna see at least one game where the starters are out there, and you don't have to give anything away, but just kind of a game environment, you know what I mean? Even if it's vanilla, even if it's the most basic concept, you draw up your 5 favorite plays or if you can get a first down, whatever. I just
Mhm.
wanna see them out there in game scenario to where it's not brand new, fresh, right out of the box in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I think there is something to said to get, some game feel, and while the preseason is not at all like the regular season, does not matter one bit, I do think that getting some reps in, seeing what it looks like against another defense, again, not giving anything away, but just very
right.
basic vanilla run the offense, get in and out of the huddle. I do wanna do it in one of the games. Probably the
Yeah.
second game, let them ease into the first game, maybe play a series, but then maybe play a couple series or a couple, whatever it is. I do wanna see some of the starters out there,
I do
if
too.
it's up to me.
I was just wondering because it's a lot of different new stuff around here. So
Yeah.
it's like who sits, who plays, and we have a lot of similar players in the position rooms that are going to go through battle. So it's going to be like, are we going to see Quan out there with Will Harris too, or are we going to see Quan sit in the bench or whatever? So it's going to be interesting because we have a lot of similar pieces that is a lot of competition in different rooms this year, rather than a flat out blatant their starters or not.
I do wonder if they do show they're gonna have to show some stuff. It's just how it is. They're gonna run some of the plays that they know, but I do wonder if not that they come out with a whole different thing, but I wonder we talked about it, trying to catch these teams off guard with new systems. Does it look a little different when the regular season rolls around? Like, is there some chess being played there? It will be interesting. Like, I'm with you. Is Quan out there at safety, for most of the preseason, then all of a sudden he's a nickel corner when week one rolls around. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I am interested to see that if they do play some games that way. That'll be interesting to see. Like, even from what we can see in the joint practices, like X players blitzing a lot, and then by week 1, we don't see him go after the quarterback once. Like, I'm interested in the chess games, and I think for the first time in a while, the offense and the defense has a chance to take it to these other teams with
Mhm.
that advantage.
I think so too. It's going to be interesting, but that's another 2 months away
I know.
with OTAs. But hey, we just need stuff to talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's hope that they figure out this Brandon Aiyuk saga one way or another here soon. Either way, let's enjoy the summer. But football is right around the corner. Less than 3 months till the first week. I mean, it's exciting stuff. It is right around the corner. I keep saying it. You can smell it. It's just a little hotter than it will be in the fall, but we're almost.
Yeah, we are almost there. I think they're finishing up their third round of OTAs this week, and I think they've got mandatory mini camp at the end of this month, and then they get like their summer off, and then report to training camp. So, looking forward to
Yeah.
figure out the updates. We both got trips we got coming up, so we're gonna see if we can catch some training camp stuff.
We'll keep you guys posted. You guys will see it all. We love talking with you guys, and we'll be back with whatever news breaks or no news breaks. I like that too. Sometimes quiet is good. We've had plenty of off seasons when it's not been quiet. But for Trev, I'm Brian. This has been the Command Post. We will see you guys next time. Be good.
Go Commanders.